I'm often asked, Dan, what's the difference between, unconscious bias and conscious inclusion? Are we just playing with words and stuff like that? But actually, they are quite distinct in terms of their approach. So, unconscious bias is the recognition that, we all have biases and a focus on that is really about mitigation. So it's about saying, let's mitigate the biases from our processes, our policies, our behaviors, our thinking, our decision making, etc. So we want to take stuff out of the system effectively, and that means that we can stop being biased. But when we take stuff out of the system, we actually end up in a kind of almost like a neutral approach. So what we need to do is we need to not only take bias out of the system, but we need to inject inclusion in, and that's moving towards this notion of what we call being consciously inclusive. And so we can take inclusion nudges and put inclusion nudges into our decision making around that employee life cycle. So we can nudge inclusion through how we tweak our recruitment process, or we can nudge inclusion in terms of how we tweak and inject, different nudges into promotions or whatever it might be. But we can take that same principle and we can be consciously inclusive in terms of basic things like, when you're organizing a team meeting, are we consciously aware of who's speaking? Are we inviting certain people to contribute to that conversation? So conscious inclusion is an active process of injecting inclusion into the system, as well as an active process of mitigating bias out of the system.